Hi everyone, let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to explain what you do to your family and friends and gotten a blank look? Or is fear holding you and your online business back right now? Now, if you answered yes to either of those, you're going to love this month's free newsletter. How do you get a copy? Head on over to writecom.com now. And by the way, if you want to make more money with your online business, you are going to love our coffee bean money making idea inside. So head over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, and you'll find the newsletter waiting for you over there. Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from writecom.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled Don't Stomp on Someone Else's Dream. Now, I want you to get into the time machine with me for a moment, and let's just jump back probably about 7 years or so. Now, back at that time, I found out that my late father-in-law had developed Alzheimer's. Now, this was a man who was a workaholic. He loved his job. He would work from night to noon delivering milk. And he did it for as long as I can remember. Even when I was growing up, Paddy used to come and deliver our milk out in the countryside. And little did I know that the little redhead girl who used to help him deliver the milk would become my wife later on in life. It was only later on in life when we met up at a disco one night and got into conversation, I realised that her father was Paddy and he was Paddy the milkman who delivered the milk to our home. But setting that story aside, as you probably were, when you develop Alzheimer's, you start forgetting things and some of your skills aren't as good as they used to be. And we realised at one point that Paddy was going to have to give up the milk round. His driving, slow and all as it was, he just wasn't safe anymore on the road, and you couldn't be guaranteed he would actually find his way home. But as a man who had dedicated his whole life to, working on the milk round, when you're suddenly having that taken off you, what do you do next? And for a while he kind of sat around the house, he potted around the house, but everybody knew that wasn't really going to help him. He needed something to occupy him, to keep his, mind busy, or just to give him some kind of aim in life. And what happened was he got involved with a group called the Men's Shed here in Ireland. And the Men's Shed is like a group of, retired men or men at a certain age who probably have, not working anymore and need some kind of aim in life or some kind of occupation or something to go to. So it was almost like a men's club. So what they would do in the Men's Shed, they would do different activities. For example, maybe they might go on trips, or maybe they may have different people in, maybe showing them off different skills or crafts or something like that, just to kind of show them what they could do in their spare time. Now, I remember walking into Paddy's house one day, and I remember seeing this small little painting on his fireplace. And it was the kind of typical kind of Irish scene that you would see. It was like a whitewashed straw cottage kind of up on a mountainside, all this kind of rugged landscape around it. And I remember picking it up and having a look at it and looking over at him in the chair and saying, "Paddy, did you buy this somewhere?" And he says, "No, I painted that." And I remember kind of taking a double take and looking at the painting and actually being really impressed by the painting, because it wasn't something that I would have expected from someone who had never ever painted before. And I just put the painting down and I said, "Yeah, that's amazing. Fair play to you. I didn't think you could paint." And he said, "I didn't really realise it either," he says, "until I started trying it, and I really enjoyed doing it." So fast forward on a couple of weeks, I went back to his house. We dropped in again to see how he was getting on, and I found that there was only the small little painting still sitting on the fireplace. And I just said to him, "Did you do any more painting, or have you got anything you could show us?" And I remember him saying to me, "Nah, I didn't do any more. I showed the painting to my son Dermot, and he kind of made a bit of a laugh of it, and he said it wasn't very good, so I just didn't paint anymore." And I remember thinking, how somebody could just say something so stupid and could just stop someone in their tracks. And because Dermot said that stupid comment, I don't even know if he was thinking. I don't know if it was an offhand remark or whatever, or if he just was kind of making a skit out of it or whatever, but it just stopped Paddy in his tracks, and he never ever painted again. And I remember months later when we were just going to his funeral, as what happens in some funerals, to do like some kind of procession where they have all different possessions that person had or achievements and things like that. And some of the grandkids brought up different things that would have probably summarised Paddy's life. And I remember one of the kids taking up that wee little painting and putting it, standing up beside his coffin at his funeral. And I remember looking at that painting and just kind of looking at the coffin and just saying, you know, could he have painted more? Did he have more paintings in him? You know, he did seem to enjoy painting, but because that comment was made, he took all those paintings with him, those ideas, and maybe that bit of a skill that might have turned into something, or could have been something that brought him great joy, was just stomped on by somebody's stupid comment. And I swore after that moment that if somebody ever came to me and ever asked me, you know, Barry, do you think I could write a book? Or do you think I could do a podcast? Or do you think I could do videos on TikTok or whatever? I would always say yes, because I don't know. I don't know if they can or if they can't. And I'd rather leave it up to them to find out, because we never really know. You know, sometimes when we look at someone and if it's something they've never done before or seems like something that is just completely outside their wheelhouse, it's very easy for us to say, oh, you'll never lose that weight, or you'll never travel around the world, or you'll never meet a girl, or you'll never do this. And who are we to think that we actually know what's going to happen in the future? You know, it's not like any of us has a crystal ball where we know that, no, they're never going to travel around the world, or they're never going to meet the person of their dreams, or they're never going to get that business started, or they're never going to do those TikTok videos. We never know that. You know, we could be completely wrong. You might find that person might do 1 or 2 videos, have a great love for it, and all of a sudden they have this really popular YouTube channel. Or they may find, you know, a love for maybe coaching somebody online, and then all of a sudden then they are the go-to coach that everybody in that niche actually goes to. So if I was to pass something on to you today, probably just keep your mouth shut. So when someone maybe says to you, do you think I could do this thing? Maybe it's best if we just say nothing at all, or just say, go for it and see what happens. Maybe you can do it, maybe you can't, but give it a go and see what happens. And you may find maybe that person might talk themselves out of it, or they may just say, well, you know, it was a nice idea, but I just couldn't see myself doing it. Sometimes it's better off if we just stand back and let them, you know, make that decision from themselves, rather than, you know, saying something stupid that might stop them in their tracks. And, you know, that little picture always stayed with me, just sitting up on his altar and just thinking, what else could he have done if Dermot just hadn't said anything to him? And sometimes we take the wrong advice from the wrong people. Like Dermot had absolutely no experience about art. He wouldn't know a good painting from a bad painting. And sometimes, you know, sometimes we take advice from people like that, people who are around us, people who maybe are our friends and family, who sometimes could be maybe just doing the right things for us, but sometimes we need to just ignore those people and actually do the things that we want to do. If we want to do it, well, then we should just go and do it and stop asking for advice. So if I was to leave you with a thought today, it would be the title of this podcast episode. Don't stomp on someone else's dreams, because you don't know if they can do it. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the rightcome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.